Trust me even when you cannot see me. The believers before you faced storms far worse, yet they held firm because they knew the one who tests also sustains. Your pain is not a sign of distance from Allah. It's an invitation to draw nearer. So instead of asking, "Oh, why me?" begin to ask, "What is Allah teaching me through this?" Because the moment you shift your perspective, your hardship becomes a bridge instead of a barrier. You begin to see that the same fire that burns away your comfort also forges your faith. The more you trust the process, the lighter the burden feels. Every hardship is custom made for your soul's growth. Every difficulty a lesson wrapped in divine mercy. You may not understand it now, but one day you will look back and realize that what broke you also built you. What tested you also transformed you, and what hurt you also healed you. That is the beauty of Allah's test. It never comes to punish, only to prepare you for something far greater than you can imagine. No storm lasts forever, and no night remains without dawn. The pain you feel now may seem endless. The darkness may appear too deep, but every storm eventually runs out of rain. Life moves in seasons. There are days of calm and days of chaos, moments of peace and moments of trial. When you are caught in the middle of hardship, it can feel as though it will never end. But just as the sky clears after thunder, your heart will find peace again. Allah reminds us that ease always follows hardship, not because He wants us to forget the struggle, but because He wants us to remember that every test is temporary. Patience during the storm is what brings light afterward. Sometimes it's not the storm outside that breaks us, but the storm within. The thoughts, the fears, the doubts whispering that things will never get better. But faith whispers louder. Hold on, because every hardship carries its own expiration date. The same way the sun never fails to rise, Allah's mercy never fails to reach His servant. When you are patient through pain, you are not standing still. You are growing in silence, building resilience and learning to depend not on the world, but on the one who controls it. On the one who controls it. The storm is a part of your journey, not the end of it. Without it, you would never discover how strong your faith truly is. Patience doesn't mean you feel no pain. It means you trust that Allah will bring peace at the right time. Sometimes the calm doesn't arrive instantly. Sometimes it takes days, months, or even years. But it always comes. The storm you face today will one day become your story of survival, your proof that Allah never abandons the ones who wait with faith. You will look back and realize that every tear watered the seeds of your strength, that every delay was leading you towards something more beautiful than you imagined. So do not lose heart when the winds are fierce and the clouds heavy. Hold firm, because storms are temporary, but the lessons they bring can last a lifetime. The same storm that frightens you now is also the reason you will one day thank Allah with tears of gratitude, because it taught you that after every hardship, there truly is ease. True trust in Allah means surrendering the outcome, not the effort. It means giving your best, striving with sincerity, and then leaving what you cannot control in His hands. Many people confuse trust with passiveness. They think Tawakkul means sitting back and waiting for miracles to happen. But real trust is active. It is working hard with a heart full of certainty that Allah will guide the results exactly as they are meant to be. When you truly trust, you no longer panic when things don't go your way, because you understand that His plan is greater than your vision. You may plant the seed, but only Allah can bring the rain. You may take every step you can, but the direction of your journey is written by Him. This understanding brings peace in a world full of chaos. You stop blaming yourself for what's beyond your reach, and instead focus on doing what you can with sincerity. Trusting Allah is not about giving up. It is about letting go of anxiety once you've done your part. It's knowing that success or failure is not determined by your effort alone, but by His will. There will be times when you do everything right and still face disappointment, but that doesn't mean you failed. It means Allah's wisdom chose something better for you. When you surrender the outcome, your heart becomes lighter, your soul calmer, and your mind clearer. You no longer chase validation or fear loss because you know nothing meant for you can ever pass you by. Even if life takes a turn you didn't expect, you remind yourself that Allah sees what you don't. What feels like rejection might actually be protection. What feels like loss might be preparing space for something better. Real trust transforms pain into peace, confusion into clarity, and fear into faith. It is a quiet strength that whispers, I have done my best, and the rest is in Allah's hands. That is when you find true freedom, not from effort, but from worry. Because when your heart truly surrenders to Allah, you realize that whatever happens next is not random. It is written with divine precision. And in that realization, your soul finally rests that delays in your life are not signs of rejection from Allah. They are often a form of divine protection. What you perceive as a setback may actually be a shield from something that would have harmed you if it arrived too soon or in the wrong way. Human beings are impatient by nature. We want instant answers, quick success, and immediate relief. But Allah, in His infinite wisdom, knows the perfect timing for everything. When He delays something, it's not because He has forgotten you, but because He is arranging the circumstances in ways you cannot see. Sometimes the door you desperately want to open is kept closed because what's behind it isn't ready for you, or you're not ready for it. If every dua were answered instantly, faith would never mature, and patience would never be born. The waiting period is not wasted time. It's sacred time, where your soul is refined and your character shaped. You learn perseverance, humility, and trust. You begin to rely more on the giver than the gift itself. There are moments when you cry out, wondering why others are moving forward while you remain in the same place. But remember that Allah's delay is never His denial. He is the one who holds the entire timeline of your life, and every pause is part of His perfect plan. Sometimes what you think you lost was actually removed to make space for something greater. If you were given everything you wanted when you wanted it, you would settle for less than what Allah had prepared. His delays teach you patience, His silence teaches you faith, and His timing teaches you gratitude. One day, you will look back and thank Him for not giving you what you asked for too soon, because now you understand what He was protecting you from. Every detour, every delay, every unanswered prayer is a reminder that Allah sees the full picture while you only see a fragment. So instead of asking, why is it taking so long? Begin to say, I trust that my Lord knows best. Because when Allah finally grants what you've been waiting for, it will arrive with peace at the perfect moment, in a way that reminds you that He was never late. He was always preparing you for it. Every tear that falls from your eyes, every silent prayer whispered in the depth of your pain is heard, recorded, and answered by Allah in ways you may not always recognize. Nothing escapes His knowledge, not a sigh, not a sleepless night, not a trembling word spoken through tears. When you raise your hands and call upon Him, even if your voice breaks, even if your heart feels too heavy to speak, He listens with mercy that never fades. Sometimes the answers don't come the way you expect, because Allah knows what you need far better than what you desire. You might ask for relief, but He gives you strength. You might pray for a door to open, but He removes a wall instead. His response is not always immediate, but it is always precise. Every dua you make travels straight to Him, and none of them are ever lost in the silence. When He delays His response, it's not because He is ignoring you, but because He is preparing the perfect time for it to bloom. The believer's tears are not a sign of weakness. They are a language of love between the servant and the Creator. They cleanse the heart, soften the soul, and draw you closer to the one who never tires of hearing from you. The pain that drives you to prayer is a blessing in disguise. for it connects you directly to the source of peace. Each moment you cry for help, you are being elevated, your sins washed away, your heart polished with remembrance. You may think your prayers unanswered, but Allah answers in one of three ways. He gives you what you ask, He delays it for a better time, or He replaces it with something greater in the hereafter. Either way, you never lose. Your tears are never wasted. They are stored in the unseen, turning into mercy and reward that will find you when you least expect. So do not stop praying, even when the silence feels long. Do not stop crying out to Him, even when you feel unheard. The one who created your heart understands every unspoken word it holds. He sees, He knows, and He never forgets. And when His answer finally arrives, you will realize that every tear you shed was leading you closer to His mercy all along. Your story is not over, no matter how many times you've fallen, failed, or felt forgotten. Life's darkest moments often come right before the dawn of transformation. What you see as an ending may, in truth, be the beginning of something far greater. Allah never closes a chapter without preparing a new one, filled with wisdom, healing, and growth. Sometimes we measure our worth by what we've lost, but Allah measures it by how much faith we hold on to in our loss. The pain you're experiencing today is not the final scene of your journey. It's a transition, a test, a divine pause before the next rise. Every struggle you've endured, every disappointment that shattered your plans, is shaping the next version of you, the one who will walk stronger, speak gentler, and trust deeper. You may not understand the wisdom behind every turn, but faith reminds you that Allah is still writing your story, and His pen never slips. What feels like a dead end is often the exact point where He begins to rebuild your path. Sometimes He removes people, opportunities, or comforts not to break you, but to redirect you. You are not forgotten, and your story has not been erased from His mercy. When you look back, you'll see how every broken moment led you closer to something meaningful. Something meaningful. Every fall taught you humility, every heartbreak taught you patience, and every delay taught you trust. The best chapters of your life are written after hardship, when you emerge with a heart softened by experience and a soul anchored in faith. The believer's journey is not about avoiding pain, but about finding purpose through it. Allah never tests you to destroy you. He tests you to prepare you for what's coming. So even when it feels like everything has fallen apart, remind yourself that this is not the end of your story. It's simply the part where you learn, grow, and rediscover your strength. One day you will look back and thank Allah for rewriting your plans, for He knew what your heart truly needed long before you did. The page you're on right now may be filled with pain, but the next one, written by His mercy, will overflow with peace, healing, and light. The one who truly trusts Allah walks through life's storms with a calm heart and steady faith, knowing that even the fiercest winds are under His control. When the world shakes around them, they do not crumble, because their foundation is built on trust in the one who never fails. This kind of peace doesn't come from an easy life. It comes from surrendering to the certainty that nothing happens except by Allah's will. The believer who trusts doesn't panic when the plan changes or when the road becomes rough. Instead, they remind themselves that the one who created the storm also commands it to stop. Such a person understands that control is an illusion, and true strength lies in reliance. While others drown in worry and fear, they find comfort in prayer, knowing that Allah's decree is always for their ultimate good. Their calmness is not weakness. It's wisdom. They have learned that faith is not proven when life is easy, but when everything seems lost, and they still say, "I trust my Lord." When you reach this level of trust, your heart becomes unshakable. You stop overthinking outcomes, stop chasing validation, and stop fearing loss. Because once your heart relies on Allah, the loss of anything else cannot break you. You may cry, you may struggle, but deep down, there is an unwavering peace that whispers, and my Lord is with me. The storms of life no longer frighten you, because you have tasted the serenity that comes from surrender. You begin to see every hardship as a message, every delay as protection, and every loss as a doorway to something better. Even when you don't understand the reason behind what's happening, your soul remains still, anchored in divine trust. This is the secret of true strength, the ability to walk through chaos without losing faith. When you trust Allah completely, you stop fearing the storm because you know who controls the sea. You walk forward with hope, with patience, and with a quiet confidence that what's written for you will always find you. And when the storm finally passes, you realize that your faith did not just survive, it grew. For the believer who trusts Allah, every storm becomes a bridge to peace, and every hardship becomes proof of how deeply they are cared for by the one who never abandons.